What's the most amazing thing the human body does that people have no idea about? You can lose up to 75% of your liver and it can grow back to its full size. Kind of like how a lizard can regrow its tail, but we do it with an extremely complex organ. Edit. Also, if you were to donate part of your liver to someone else, the piece you donated would grow into a full liver as well. You can lose up to 75% of your liver. Working on it. People have no idea how lucky we are to have bodies so finely tuned that they can fart with a reliable degree of certainty that we won't shit. I envy your confidence. The human hand is one of the most insanely fine-tuned pieces of organic machinery on the planet. It contains an absurdly dense amount of nerve cells and special nerve adjustments that make it incredibly sensitive to extremely small signals. Because of this, and the insane art that is the natural craftsmanship of our hands, the human hand has a dexterity for precision that other apes do not have, let alone the rest of the barbaric in comparison animals. And you use it to jack off and browse memes. Look at an object on the wall across the room. Now keep looking at it while you move your head back and forth, up and down. Your eyes stay pointed at that spot. Not hard to do, is it? For that to happen, your brain needs to calculate the direction and rate of change your head is moving in 3-dimensional space and then send corresponding signals to the muscles in your eyes to exactly countermatch the rotation and speed in order to keep them pointed at that spot. And not only that, the muscles that have to be moved, and the rate at which they move, are different for each eye. Since if you turn your head quickly right, your eye contracts the muscles on the nose side to compensate, and the eye contracts the muscles on the temple side. It's an absolutely amazing, fine-tuned process involving incredible spatial calculations and microsecond signaling and adjusting that we do all the time and take completely for granted. Throwing. Think about all the velocity and angle calculations you needed to do for all those projectile problems in physics. And then realize that you don't think about any of that when you nail something with a ball by simply looking at it. Even if it's a moving target. Math explains the rules. It isn't itself the rules. That's why we can't throw a ball without knowing math. The map is not the territory. Your fingers pruning in water? That's not absorption. That's your body shifting to better grab things underwater. If that's not a superpower, I don't know what is. I encounter so many people who don't know this. We are sticky-eyeing our fingers to be more like the pads of lizard amphibian toes. For increased grip. It's a nerve response. And has nothing to do with water absorption changing the skin. If you have sufficient nerve damage in your fingers, hand pruning won't happen. Physical humans are the top endurance runners of the animal kingdom. People wonder how we were somehow top predators with no claws, teeth, or extreme strength. We didn't need them. We literally ran our prey to death. The only ones capable of rivaling us are wolves and horses. If there is something our bodies are designed to do, it's run. Mental, we have computers the size of rooms that can undergo quadrillions of operations per second. Our brains still win. My dentist told me once that gums heal super quickly. That when you have a cut or something in your mouth, it heals faster than a cut on the skin. That's true. I have this disease where my whole body is covered with lip skin. I heal really fast like a superhero. But I have to constantly massage myself with lip balm so I don't get chapped. Mitochondria have different DNA, which likely stems from the fact that they were once bacteria internalized by another single-cell organism, probably archaea, very early on in the evolutionary process, creating the single most important symbiotic relationship. Mitochondria are responsible for all of the energy production in your body. Our general understanding of sleep boils down to we get tired. If you mean what do we understand but most people don't realize is extraordinary, then it's our healing ability. Compared to most other higher animals, we're basically X-Men meets the Terminator. We can survive and heal from things that would outright kill most animals and can chase things for days without rest. Wait, so our sleep is better than other animals' sleep? I think our ability to find and create very safe sleeping spots aids us to have better sleep that is underrated in terms of importance on development and basic function really. Everybody else is blown away by the capacity of the brain. While I'm amazed at how the forearm can twist. You have two parallel bones. And your muscles pull them so they cross. Which rotates your arm. How crazy is that? A sperm carries 37.5 megabytes of DNA info. One ejaculation transfers 15.875 gigabytes of data. Your body contains more bacterial DNA than human DNA. Composition wise, you are more bacteria than human. Everything from a cellular exchange of oxygen for carbon dioxide in the alveoli sacs to being able to think and react and move the giant sack of meat that is our body with the 3-pound mass in our skulls. The human body amazes me. Probably late to the game, but breastfeeding is insane. The suction of the baby's mouth to the nipple allows saliva to enter into the breast where the milk will adjust to address any issues in the baby, from passing antibodies to attack a virus or adding more water to the breast milk to address dehydration. Crazy beautiful stuff. I've always been amazed by how our brain pieces together information and fills in gaps. For example, have you ever looked at the clock and thought the second took a weirdly long time to change? It turns out your brain retroactively changes your memory for the period of time where your eyes are moving to whatever you see when your eyes stop. That is the coolest shit. I'm sure a lot of people already know this, but I'm still amazed about how the nervous system basically controls almost everything in the body. The way electrical signals becoming chemical signals within a fraction of a second is still f-king with my mind right now. As I type this, thousands of tiny muscle fibers in my fingers are contacting just too much for me right now. Until mine gave up on me. I had no idea that our autonomic system goes into overdrive whenever we move positions. Even slightly. To make sure that blood gets pumped to every part of your body. And it works so quickly and so well that the only sign is a very brief and very small rise in heart rate. It happens so quickly. And does it so well that very few people even notice it. A few years ago mine stopped doing this part of its job, long story. And it means that the blood pools in the lowest part of my body. Other than when I'm laying flat. This means that the blood is pooling in my legs. To force the blood back up. My heart beats faster and faster to try and cope. Within 3 minutes, sometimes less. Rarely more. It reaches a speed that is too fast. And I pass out. This causes me to be flat again if I pass out somewhere open. And gives my heart and autonomic system the chance to calm down and return to normal. Admittedly, this is just something I didn't know. It's possibly more common knowledge than I knew. And is probably only interesting to others with POTS too. Edit to make sense. Every time you swallow, a little flap in your ear opens and closes to continually rebalance the pressure in your ear. Without it, your hearing would cease to be effective. And over time your head would fly off like the cork from a well-shaken bottle of cheap, fizzy wine. The second part of that may be a slight exaggeration. Or an outright lie. Eustachian tubes. For anyone who needs proof beyond the witterings of some bloke. Healthy vaginal fluids are acidic enough to bleach underwear. So the disgusting fluids people believe is gross, while it still may be gross, it actually has a cleaning effect. Haha. TMI fact of the day. You are welcome. When a woman gets pregnant, her body grows a new organ. The placenta. Specifically for the purpose of nourishing, sustaining the baby. When the baby is born, your body ejects said organ and is done with it. Also, babies. Some animals have naturally patched skin. Like dogs. You know how a dog actually has fur patterns, but if you shave the pooch you'll see his skin is patched the same way? Humans are the same. But our patches only show at certain conditions and are unseen to the naked eye. I always find it interesting to think about moving. Like, I don't have to think about my muscles contracting or ligaments pulling. I just move. Just like that. I move my arm and it moves. Then I get very nervous because I feel like I'm not going to be able to move my arm because I had this thought, but then I move it again and we're good. When a human embryo is developing, it's mostly going to end up as something symmetrical. The right side looks like the left. But a few things in the end product aren't quite symmetrical. The heart, for example. Some blood vessels. Liver on the right, spleen on the left. Etc. How in the world does the developing embryo know right from left? How does it make the asymmetry? How does it know the heart goes on the left side and the liver on the right? The answer is both beautifully simple and incredibly complex. Tiny little hair-like structures called cilia. As the embryo develops, these tiny cilia form and they start to spin. They create a flow of fluid from one side of the embryo to the other, allowing the cells of the forming embryo to differentiate right from left. Without the correct direction of spin, the embryo can develop with all the organs on the wrong side of the body, the heart on the right, the liver on the left, etc. Situs inversus totalis. NBA player Randy Foye, Denver Nuggets, has this condition. It's just fascinating that tiny spinning cilia can determine so much before you've developed into anything even slightly resembling a human. If you think about it, human beings are essentially capable of telepathy. We can't read minds, but we can pass messages and, with skill, detailed imagery and emotion, through energy waves in space, we're just locked into physical vibrations, which we interpret as sound. Spoken language. I think that our ability to think still baffles me. Our ability to act or not act is what makes us different from all other animals. Think about it this way. A male deer in mating season sees a female deer and automatically, without a second thought, tries to mate with her. I mean, there are some HRNY masks out there, but regardless of them we choose to act upon what we want to. But how? How are we able to do that? That a memory of an event that you have not thought of since the event occurred is likely more accurate than a memory of an event that you think of often. When you are remembering an event, you are actually remembering the last time you remembered it. So you end up with something similar to the telephone game you played as a kid. Each time you remember it, details about the event slowly morph and become less accurate. Surprised no one has mentioned it yet. Our body constantly filters out internal sounds. For example, our eyes moving, heartbeat, muscle movements, along with other internal sounds that only get in the way of us perceiving external sounds. Which is amazing because that means that the brain is tracking the movement of the eyes, knows how much sound they should be making, and filtering it out. If you remove the lens in your eye, and then use contacts, you can see in the ultraviolet. This happened to me when I had one I worked on. To this day, I can see the colors no one else can without a black light. Grass is really green. Currency looks fake. Paper and teeth are almost blue in sunlight. I don't see upside down, as you might guess, since I adapted quickly. But a friend says secret UV notes could be written that only I would notice or see. Too late for high school tests. Bah.